just owned them. These guys are clueless. Can you believe they gave us this? And it's just so funny.
Do you know which coach is correct?
The coach with the better team.
The one who wins the game, because whoever wins had the better draft, you know?
I call that Gen G is really good at drafting.
True.
Yes.
I call this outcome-focused assessments, right? You know, you look at the outcome of the game, and you make all your assessments based on that.
Exactly. So based on that LYON draft, all we had to do to make it a good draft was sub in Gen G. And that would have been a very good draft.
You're starting to understand now.
Because I think that Gen G might have been able to win that last game.
You know, potentially. They've been doing a lot of winning recently.
They have. They do like to get wins.
Just be Gen G. Is that the tagline?
That is. I mean, League of Legends is pretty easy when you think about it. Just be Gen G.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know why more people haven't figured that out. We need to spread the good word. All right. Varus going to maintain on that ban list. Vi has been getting chain banned out as well. So it is going to be Vi and Nautilus getting banned. Quite a few of the engaged champs have been taken away, but I mean, Rakan is available, Rel is available. Support, you can't really ever get all of the engaged champs out. And Karma has been pretty high priority on getting banned quite a bit. So I'll be interested to see if that does reach the ban table, and it does.
Something to note is that LYON have had the same bans for the last 3 games, which has been Orianna, Vi, Ambessa. Loud has picked up the Orianna ban, but the Ambessa still open and available. Will it get left open here? We did see Loud banning away, you know, Nami, banning away Azir. Will they get a look in here?
Yeah, I mean, Azir definitely does rise in priority the further you get into the series, right? And there is the Azir ban. Ori not going to be played this whole series. Azir not going to be played this whole series. So the question is, what can LYON get value with as far as a first pick goes? Some of the junglers that I do think kind of get high prio sometimes, especially when you're getting less and less mobile, less and less safe champs, so things like Malphite that we saw banned out earlier in the series. But I definitely don't think that's first pick worthy. Trundle is still up and available. There's lots of answers in the jungle, so I'm kind of less concerned about that and more interested where they're going to go for the soul lanes, because I feel like most bot lanes are pretty plug and play. Yeah,
I think Corki, with the Nami now being open, Corki Nami, really strong combo. You know, it used to be the Lucian Nami, now it's kind of like the Corki Nami, the fact that the Gatling gun procs super fast, and also you can proc it on your ult as well.
What's your take on if, you know, Loud should deny the Nami at all?
I think it depends what you're going to pair it with, because, you know, Lucian has already been taken away. What other AD carries would you look to pair the Nami with now? Because I think it's less than other enchanters. I feel like she's more dependent on having a good pairing. Although, I mean, I guess we'll have to see what's going to come out this game.
No, I tend to agree. I mean, I can think it's pretty difficult. I mean, I think Nami can plug and play with anything. Like, you can play Nami with, like, a Jinx or an Aphelios or whatever and just play a scaling, and it's like, I'm just your plug and play enchanter. Is it as strong as Lulu as a pairing? No, definitely not. But the question is, how much power are you taking away from your opponents by denying it? And that's the kind of the trade-off, is it's like, yeah, I might get a little bit of a weaker pairing, but you're going to get a way weaker pairing if you believe that.
Yeah, and we are also quite deep in Fearless, so like the Lulu option isn't there, the Seraphine option isn't there. We do see the Xin Zhao coming through, which is honestly pretty late for a Xin Zhao in a series. The Ambessa is on the other side, which is a flex as an option, but can be played there in the jungle. I do think Xin Zhao quite strong when paired with enchanters typically, but it looks like they're leaning towards the Rakan, want some solid engage available for them.
Yeah, and this can be one of the problems sometimes later in a series too, is if you go for an enchanter, you know, where are you drafting your engage? Ornn is gone, Zaahen is gone, a lot of the best engaged junglers are also gone, right? So I do think sometimes that can be at more of a premium. Caitlyn Nami, I actually really like this as a choice.
Yeah.
That is going to be so hard for Rakan, and if you are quick, when Rakan W's forward, you drop a trap, you drop a bubble, you can CC this guy 100-0. It becomes very difficult for him to play aggressive. And if you don't play aggressive, you're just getting outranged and poked out.
Yeah, I think generally the stuff that does well with Nami is stuff that can have a lot of pressure either in the lane or in the mid game, or just stuff that can really have long range bursts to proc those the Tidepuller's Blessing, is it the E?
It is.
And I think Caitlyn just fits the bill exactly. And with the Rakan already being shown, it's going to be a really hard lane to deal with. Annie ban comes through. I mean, I think as well, if you're playing this Caitlyn, you want to play at max range, set up the traps. Having the Annie Rakan as a threat would be a big problem.
And I mean, Nami is food for any burst champ, right? You know, it is one of the squishiest, slowest champs in the game. So always have to be very careful about that. But I do think, you know, compositionally, the LYON first 3, very strong. The lane, though, is a real concern. And we saw, you know, with them falling behind in lane, in last game could be difficult. Trundle, common ban when you're going to go Xin. Very, very difficult matchup for Xin Zhao. You kind of just lose out in all of the 1v1s in the skirmishes, and you kind of get outscaled as a result. So going to be taking that away and just continuing to deny potential AD jungle options.
I think that's kind of the beauty of having this Ambessa in pocket, though. If the jungle pool gets thin too much, you can kind of just put that in the jungle and flex that there. So they have options in that regard. It makes these bans from line a little bit more uncomfortable. You could throw bans towards the mid lane instead, but you would just end up thinning the pool for yourself potentially, since it's Loud who have first pick coming out of this. They end up going for the Malphite ban as well here. I guess the fact that it is this Nami support, knowing that Loud do need engage from somewhere, they go for this Zaahen, and this doesn't really answer questions with the flex on the Ambessa. They can both be flexed jungle and top.
They definitely can. xyno is the only one on their team who has played the Ambessa thus far. So, maybe, if you're kind of relying on historical stuff, he would be the one to play it. And Jack's going to be the answer very likely here for Dhokla. And I do think it's going to be a bit tough here for Loud if they're not creating advantages, in this bot lane. Again, they are kind of playing a similar style to what we saw in that Rise game, where so far they have no real go buttons at all, right? And if you are playing from behind without go buttons, it is very difficult. You try to show up to a dragon late and you get engaged on by a Rakan flashing out of a brush. You get engaged on by, the Xin just jumping in on you and starting out the fight. That can be really, really tough. But if this kind of a team gets ahead, it's also equally tough on the other side. This would be Saint blinding the Zoe, but there's a lot of squishy champs on the other team, so Zoe could have value. Viktor, much more kind of standard stable, and I feel like fits what they're drafting, because this is basically just like 5v5, you have engage, you have side lane. It feels about as standard can get.
Yeah, this feels like you're ticking a lot of the typical boxes for what a composition wants. I think LYON defaulting back to a lot of areas, not specific comfort for the players, but just a composition that feels comfortable to play. And now Loud, what are they going to go for this mid lane pick for Envy? Are you just going to try and pick up Control Mage to match in the mid lane?
Way or something.
There is something like Cinder. It did get nerfed, but is available. Instead, going for the Vex. So something a bit more aggressive.
Yeah, and you can set up well for the public execution, because you ult in the backline, you land the fear, and off the fear, you can chain that with the public execution. The Nami wave comes in over the top. So I kind of understand the thought process with that. This is, I think, a very snowbally comp, one way or the other for Loud. LYON, after having a comp that just could not team fight at all last game, I feel like they said, you know what, we're going to draft for 5v5. We're just going to try to survive the lanes, play for that. The series has been slow, so I can see the merit in that.
Yeah.
The question is, can you keep stability in a very uneven 2v2 in bot lane?
This is a big test of LYON's theory that you can just play bot lane safe. You don't need to put attention to it. Advantages in bot lane are hard to build because you have the home guard, because you're now playing into Kate Nami, which is a lane who have said, we're testing that theory. We want to crush you. If you don't survive against this, you're going to have a problem. So we'll see how that pans out. I also think the Vex is interesting because a lot of dash-based champions who are looking to close the distance, Rakan into Vex. If you dash forward and get feared mid-grand entrance, you're going to have a really bad time.
You absolutely are. I mean, anything land on that Rakan and you go in, you're probably just getting deleted. But at the same time, for the Vex, you can be engaged on yourself. If you don't have that fear prepped and ready and you get flashed on with the quickness, with the grand entrance, anyone on Loud's team is pretty killable with a good engage coming through from LYON. So they have to be a bit worried about that. Zaahen can be tanky, but only when you are having a good game. Xin Zhao, obviously you have the Crescent Guard. You can create a lot of space. They can control a lot of the area here with some of their picks, with the Gravity Fields, with the Arcane Storm. So it's going to be an interesting one. All comes down to this. So much pressure, I think, on both of these teams. The weight of expectation of your regions. Of course, you are not eliminated, but you are knocked to lower bracket. And you're knocked to lower bracket against a JDG who is hungry for redemption. This is realistically the best chance at a series win for both of these teams. The other two opponents are expected to be harder.
Yeah, and if you end up losing a series and then you go up against JDG, who after a rough defeat against Genji are hunting for a win, the worst feeling is getting 2-0'd out of first stand and leaving without a series win. And that is ultimately going to happen to two teams at this tournament. You do not want to be one of those teams.
Absolutely do not. We got an early pause here. I'll update you as soon as I find out any information about it. But as we look across at the runes, nothing really standing out as very different across the board.
I think for me, this game, I think Saint on the Viktor, quite a stable champ generally, and there's not as many threats as maybe like, an Akali and a Nocturne that we saw last game. I think last game was really hard for him to play. I think it's difficult to give him all the fault considering the position he was put in last game. But I do think he's had a rough series so far. There's been mistakes. There've been solo kills when it shouldn't necessarily have happened. You know, the LeBlanc game, he got solo killed by both the enemy mid and top. There was the Ari game where he charmed himself an unfortunate situation. So, yeah, I think ultimately this is a chance for redemption for Saint, and I hope he has a better game here, because the Viktor can have a lot of power here, a lot of melees on the enemy team, where if you get a good Gravity Storm, good value, you get a ton of damage.
Completely agree. So the update is we are back in the game. There were some minor audio issues that the players were experiencing, so they paused, they sorted it out, we're back in and good to go. I completely agree. You know, one of my concerns, though, for Saint is that he has 2 games of Viktor all time in his career. Wow. And, you know, you assume that you're playing in solo queue, you assume that you're getting practice elsewhere, but still, let's be honest, it's not going to be a comfortable position when you haven't played it at all this year and you've played it twice in your entire pro career.
There's a difference between solo queue games and stage games, and then this is international stage games.
Game 5.
Game 5 as well. Yeah, a lot of pressure. There's some picks that you are forced to bring out in a situation like this because it's fearless, and you hope you can play to the level you want to. And I hope that he does, but we'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are thinking about LYON as, oh, it's an inspired team, right? And one of the things that was kind of an Achilles heel for FlyQuest, you know, with Inspired, back when they were kind of this expected team to be able to challenge the LCK, the LPL, was often Game 5 mid lane picks. So his quad was kind of getting destroyed. You know, famously the Zillion pick, getting solo killed really early on. You know, going in for the blind Yone into Chovy's Smolder. You know, a lot of these times where they did get to a Game 5, and you're thinking maybe this is the time they finally do it, and that was kind of a stumbling point for quad. We'll see if Saint can kind of overcome that. He has a very standard pick here, but not a lot of experience playing it in pro, and he needs to step up for sure.
So far, seeing the expected outcome in the bot lane with just this heavy harass. I feel like Rakan, in terms of engage supports, you don't have as much engaged threat as like a Nautilus, but you have that sustain if you can hit the gleaming. Oh, Dhokla?
Dhokla gonna have to flash, but okay, I'm surprised he didn't keep getting chasing. But I guess they don't know where Xin is, and because Zaahen is on the bottom scuttle, they're assuming that Inspired is on the top scuttle. But Inspired actually took a quick base, so he did 6 camps base, and now he's going towards that top scuttle. YoungJae gonna get some early vision here over by the enemy Raptors, and thankfully for Dhokla, his jungler was assumed to be on the top side, which meant he got to hold on to the flash.
Yeah, able to. Oh, Inspired might have an angle here.
He is coming in here behind Envy. Envy playing towards that bottom side, but not far enough over there. Flashes, fears. In comes the audacious charge, the knock up. The gravity field is going to stun him, and it's first blood in for Saint. Envy could have just ran down. I feel like he could have just ran down.
Yeah, I think so. I think he tried to run towards the tower. I think he thought if he did the flash fear, that would be enough in this situation. But just chase down under tower, and Inspired flashing out again just in time so he doesn't take that extra tower hit. With the ramping damage, I'm not even sure if it would have killed him, but it would have been close.
Yeah, I feel like he just allowed Inspired to close the gap without having to flash because he ran back towards him instead of just walking down into the bottom side river.
The thing is, his bot lane has so much prio. His bot lane would be able to move up and assist. An extended chase there would be risky for LYON, so...
Well, big advantage here for Saint. Nice pathing from Inspired. He took the early base, got the scuttle, and ganked on a timing that he wasn't really expecting, because often junglers will do the 6 camps, do the scuttle, then base, then get out on the map. So I think Envy was taken aback a little bit by that timing, not expecting him to be there. On the top side, xyno and Dhokla going pretty much even, and things looking good overall for LYON thanks to that early kill. But of course, the bot lane is going to be a continuous issue here for Berserker. It's not necessarily going to get better.
Yeah, also, if you look at Berserker's items, he has Tear, Ruby Crystal, and the
glowing moat, the most powerful item in League of Legends history.
When my AD carry comes back to lane with that, and the enemy AD carry has BF Sword, that's a little bit of a disparity.
You know, you're feeling, I'm not going to go out of mana.
Yeah, oh, true.
And I'm going to have spells up very frequently thanks to the glowing moat.
Feel a little bit healthier, right?
That's what I'm thinking.
You took a little stone and it just gave you some extra vitality.
And that thing is glowing, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's neat.
You think about it, people pay extra for a really shiny diamond. Why wouldn't you pay a lot for a glowing moat?
Yeah, sure. You know, you've sold me.
Exactly. I mean, Berserker was sold. Why wouldn't you be sold, you know? So powerful buy there with the Ruby Crystal moat tier.
It's also 3 items to 1. Oh no.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, and that is, we didn't see how that started up, but this is what I was talking about when you're playing into this kind of matchup. You can't really ever W forward. It's kind of the same thing when you used to play against Caitlyn and Morgana as Rakan. You go forward, and when you're Wing forward, it's so easy to just place the trap, place that bubble, and be able to get it. And Inspire going to try to run through mid, use that prio. They want to stop YoungJae here. They know he's over there. They're going to TP in with Isles. The Dragon getting pretty low. Smite is up and available. I think this is going to be killed before he gets there. They back off. They secure the Dragon. Well played and well escaped by LYON.
Yeah, it feels so good for LYON, the fact he's able to get that and disengage from the situation. LYON were rushing over to prevent that. And I think part of it is, especially when you have so little control over bot lane and you have scaling elements of your composition like the Viktor, right? You really would love to get that early Dragon, or at least slow it down. Even if they didn't get that first Dragon, slowing LYON down, slowing the pace of the game could have gone a long way. It's Chemtech Dragon second as well, and I feel like you're feeling pretty good that could be a really high-value soul. You know, Hextech still on the cards, Infernal still on the cards.
Yep. Saint just trying to pull the wave here, see if he can actually deny that cannon. Of course, will not be able to. They do have to be a bit careful as Isles goes forward. Berserker taking the bad end of that trade. I mean, Isles was moving in on RedBert, but Bull is just shooting your AD carry the whole time, and now he steps in onto the trap. That tilt over Peacemaker just barely missed.
I can sense the frustrations and the want to go in, but it's just not helping you in this lane. Bull even popped yet the triple tonic adaptive potion, and he's already got 147 AD with that, so he's doing so much damage.
Yeah, it is going to be very tough to deal with him. You can see he had the lethal tempo even stacked, so he is looking powerful down in that bot lane 2v2. Isles have been pretty good with the Gleaming Quills, though. Every time you hit one of those, it is, you know, a little bit of relief. You're healing up. And that is very important in difficult Rakan matchups, because if you can't engage, all you have is your Q, and you need to be hitting those Gleaming Quills to just try to keep the health high. Dhokla going to jump in and does pop the Grandmaster's Might there, expends the ulti, but xyno has his ultimate up and available, so Dhokla does have to be careful here.
Little trade comes out between supports. See Isles, the auto Q auto, gets all 3 procs of his support item on the back of that. That's money.
That's support mechanics right there. That's about as intense as it gets.
Yeah.
You see that spell weaving?
Oh, yeah.
People talk about how difficult it is for Riven. What about for Rakan?
True. Oh.
Dhokla going to be going forward. Nice sidestep there on the public execution. That is a trade of flashes. The ulti was already down for Dhokla. Dhokla almost gets xyno with the solo bolo. Will send it back to base. He has no TP, and Dhokla has TP advantage plus lane prio. So he's going to get a play here, you have to think, and hold that teleport advantage. Envy, though, on the roam. They're looking to set up a dive down on the bot side here, potentially.
Yeah, and I mean, as much as things aren't going great for the bot lane offline, the gold lead isn't crazy, and it's being matched by Dhokla in the top side. With that kill mid as well, Saint has an even bigger gold lead. The solo lanes are doing well, and I mean, we said like it would be proving the point of Inspired. Either can the bot lane hold on? Is Caitlyn Nami going to crush you in lane? Does it actually matter? And right now, it appears they're holding on, for the time being at least.
And YoungJae going to be spotted out by this ward, which is pretty high value there, as Saint could have been exposed to a potential gank. But as this vision gets cleared out, it gets a lot scarier for that bot lane 2v2, because while they have held on thus far, if you get dove one time and you lose your full tower, that gets really problematic. First turret gold is so much.
It's a bad thing. Not great. Do you see Dhokla trying to get a reset off there? Oh, I've seen this angle before. I
have too. Envy going to be forced to flash out. The Arcane Storm comes down.
He walked down into the river, though, this time.
He's evolving. Trap's going to be set on both sides. It's a little bit awkward here for LYON as they want to retreat back, try to dodge as many skill shots as you can, but you always have to be aware of where those traps are sitting. It does feel like they're stabilizing a bit, though, in the bot lane 2v2. Their wave clear is getting better.
Yeah, you see at this point with some points in the phosphorus bomb and also having the ult available for Corki, a lot easier to clear the wave. I know we joked about the tier and the items he had, but the extra mana pool actually really does help.
Yeah, when you're on the back foot, you kind of sometimes can only farm with spells, right? And so it is actually very important. And of course, I mean, Corki just needs it in general.
Yeah, so, I mean, he was going to build it anyway, but in this situation it is pretty good value. And I feel like YoungJae's just constantly been coming
Well, that is risky as LYON. Isles on the back foot here. LYON bot lane getting pushed back now as RedBert was going forward there. Dhokla in 1v2 in a lot of trouble, has no flash. Public execution, the Grim Deliverance gets leap struck away from Dhokla, absorbs the double ults and the gank and gets out to tell the tale. Inspired here to cover, so Dhokla should be able to pick up the wave.
Yeah, good moves there from Dhokla to dodge away. I feel like YoungJae spent so much time bot trying to find this dive that never really happened. Goes to play topside, Dhokla dips away from it, and it's lying with the gold lead overall right now. I think it's just not going quite the way Loud had hoped, and this is still very much a playable game, but you know, you really wanted to get a big lead with this Caitlyn Nami. They do get the bot lane quest, which does massively inflate the gold lead that they have, but once Berserkers comes through, it's going to mitigate a lot of that. And the thing is with the gold quest, as long as you're in lane, you get so much of the progress towards it. It's really hard to massively have an advantage over your opponent unless you force them out of lane and they go swap top lane or something.
They're going to be on the dragon here. So Lion looking to grab this Chemtech Drake, and we'll find out what soul is going to be on the table now.
How many Ocean Souls are we getting?
That's 3 in a row. We had the Hextech the 1 game.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the 5th game was.
We're getting humid here.
Yep. Well, it's going to be, I don't know. I mean, I would say it's not great for either side. Maybe, you know, honestly, it feels very even. It's like maybe Jax gets a little bit more than Ambessa from it. Zaahen and Xin are similar.
I think the top jungle, like,
pretty similar.
Yeah, but it's not crazy.
No, it doesn't feel great, but it is going to be only 1 dragon piece for both teams, so it's not as though one team had a big stacking advantage and is going to be devastated by that.
Yeah.
Soul is a long ways off this game. YoungJae going to be moving in, goes in with the Grim Deliverance immediately. Can he hit the dreaded return? He can, but there is really no follow-up. Envy hits the ulti, but Saint is pushing him back. Saint needs to be careful to not go too far. YoungJae low, Inspired in the area. Trade of ultimates, 1 for 2. So Saint's going to be pretty happy again to be absorbing this pressure.
I don't think Envy was ever going to go in on the ult, but Saint got his quest leveled up as that play was happening and got the upgraded make treads just to even further dissuade any potential for that play to follow through. So Saint able to survive from that one, puts a lot of damage back in return. Things have been pretty stable so far.
Yeah, Dhokla at a bit of a weak spot right now. Before you complete that Triforce, when Ambessa has Eclipse, you really do not want to fight. You have to be very careful about trades like that, as you are going to take a lot of punishment. Dhokla wants to get that Triforce involved before he looks for anything more. Envy on an invade here, though. Envy is going to be behind him. Has no ult because he spent it, but they are looking to try to set up the potential dive. YoungJae coming over here. The public execution is up and available, and now the Counter-Strike is gone, and I think that is going to be curtains for Dhokla. He's going to try to run for it. We'll see if he can actually outplay this. Leap Strike back, pops the Grandmaster's Might, but he's going to be pulled in by the dreaded return and knocked down. No shot with no Counter-Strike. Loud, try and try again. They love these repeat angles. They love these repeat yanks, and they have paid off.
Yeah, just great setup from xyno there to get the Counter-Strike and make the dive so easy for the rest of the team. And Spider's looking here.
Yeah, he has no flash, but good sidestep there on the Wind Becomes Lightning. Envy stays safe, as Saint going to be the one dealing with Bull and RedBert, but taking a 1v2 and liking what that trade did for him.
Saint getting some hit down here onto the Caitlyn. Some decent poke there, but the Nami will heal back up. But now Berserker's gone up to the top lane, and that's stacked up Crystalline Overgrowth, so going to be able to get some gold there. And we look at the bot lane matchup, 200 gold advantage for Bull. That quest has come in for Berserker, so hasn't really amounted to much, that bot lane advantage that we saw them trying to build up.
Not at all, and Envy was just getting zoned off the tower, so now their lane assignments are all kind of messed up because Envy was getting zoned off, so Bull and RedBert ran all the way up towards top to try to help him. Then Envy got into the tower, so now they're like, oh wait, now we got to go back towards mid, so does kill your tempo a little bit there as Saint trading back and forth here with Bull. RedBert caught out in the middle of the map here. Going to be popping the ulti, flashing away, but why even spend it? Inspired flashed over that bubble, and from there it felt like a sure thing.
Yeah, committing the flash early just to guarantee the kill's going to happen. Saint moving in as well to make sure the backup's there. Nami just such a vulnerable support, so easy to pick off and find in these situations, and just really cutting down the control that Loud has over the game.
It is, and that's both the summoners off him. Still pretty valuable to get the flash from Inspired, but feels like once he flashed, you should have just held your flash and taken the death, because it is always scary now if you want to try to contest at the next dragon. Rakan has flash, you know, RedBert, obviously he's not the prime target, but you'll take him if he's free.
I mean, just a freebie kill on support feels so good. It's like the Garen game we had when the Alistair, you just ult them.
Oh, is xyno going to be able to get a solo on a Dhokla? We didn't see how that was happening at all. xyno's still like full health, so something went very wrong there for Dhokla on the bot side as xyno coming to life in this series.
Yeah, no ult used either, so xyno just finding an angle and putting Dhokla into the dirt, and Dhokla has had counterpicking so many of these games into xyno. xyno who's been so heavily praised. Yeah, and xyno who's been so heavily praised domestically. The AD carry who switched to top lane to be on top of the region and putting down the hit on a Dhokla.
And there is the Coinbase gold grind, 1,200 lead there for xyno. So Dhokla had just been getting poked down, got very low, and yeah, I mean, xyno just goes forward. He has no counter-strike, and it's a bit of an easy kill.
That was
Dhokla underestimating
simple.
the damage. It's,
yeah,
I mean, look at his face. That's tough.
Feels bad in this game 5 as well, especially when I feel like the rest of the map is doing pretty good. You even see Berserker with a gold lead now with how that matchup was going. The only matchup that's really going rough is that top lane matchup, 1,300 down. I mean, I guess RedBert has a 45 gold lead, but you know, who's counting?
Yeah. And Dhokla had been doing really well. You know, in the 1v1, he was up early, you know, had that couple hundred gold advantage after he took a plate, but got ganked a couple times. He ended up dying to one of those ganks, and then now getting solo killed really does put him in a tough spot. He is not going to be able to interact with xyno at all, but xyno is running down for this dragon. Dhokla does have TP. They clearly want to fight. Envy is coming from below, so they're going to look for a different angle.
Approach is coming through.
Yep, Bull trying to get past that gravity field, taking some damage from Saint, but the dragon is already gone. Dhokla has arrived. Envy still in behind them. Dhokla looking with the counter-strike. Nice buffer, though, from xyno, but he's going to get Charm Flash across multiple members. Berserker pushing forward. It's Isles incredibly low. There's another stun going to be landing on xyno. He is low. He is down. Berserker going in for Bull. Hits him with the Frost Bomb. Has him low, and it's a flash forward from Saint to seal the deal with a laser to the face. In comes Inspired. They get the crash. They get the dragon. They get the team fight. And they're damn well sure going to get the tower as well.
Huge team fight there from LYON, so controlled. And xyno, the most fed member of Loud, not able to find a lucky and shut down. And the control there was massive. And now a 2,000 gold lead for the LCS representatives. Oh,
YoungJae has to use the Grim Deliverance, gets over the wall, as Inspired won't be able to find that one, but that is just even more the icing on the cake as xyno got a little bit too confident.
Yeah, and Isles gets so much value here, and it's just crazy he survives. So xyno ends up ulting in here to try and buffer, gets charmed here, connects on a 3, and then even with a stun, Isles gets out so low on HP. xyno gets focused down, and then it looks like maybe Loud can lick their wounds and get away. Saint says no, we're getting more. Inspired says we want the tower too, and it turns into just such a huge value play for LYON there.
And look at Saint now, picks up a Seekers, you know, knowing there is a lot of dive and he spent his flash, so he knows he could be vulnerable, and it's going to pick up the Seekers as the response here. xyno's gold lead gets cut down quite a bit, and the mid-jungle advantage is massive. Berserker now almost 1,000 gold ahead of Bull. So, you know, the experiment here of this Caitlyn Nami, taking away the Nami, trying to pick for the priority, got them a little bit of an edge in the early game, but not paying off now.
Not enough. And I think in a scenario where it's a higher value soul and you've got those 2 first dragons, maybe there's a better argument for it. But the fact it's an ocean soul, you traded dragons, doesn't feel as good. And on top of that, just the setup. I feel like if you're playing Caitlyn Nami, you want setup on the objective, you want the trap line down. They were late to that dragon, and it really didn't favor them. And
it shows the power of Snap Engage, right? That is something that you don't really have at all on Loud. And you have these powerful melee carries, but a lot of their survivability is in their mobility, is in their dash, the pressure that they're putting on. So when Isles just pops the quickness and CC's up 3 people, that means Saint and Berserker have no threat. That means they are going crazy in that fight, and that is really, really tough. Caitlyn is one of these champs that, you know, talking to pro AD carries, sometimes you'll ask, well, why isn't this in the meta when it's popular in solo queue? They'll often tell me, Caitlyn seems really strong until you make a single mistake, and then it feels like the worst champion in the game.
Yeah, and especially you look at the item that we're coming to now. Berserker has Triforce, about to have the Mirror Mana fully stacked. On the other side, Caitlyn with the Storm Razor and then the IE not quite completed, you're going to feel so much weaker right now in comparison.
Dhokla is going to spot someone down there, but they are behind him. He needs to play very, very safe. YoungJae's in the area as well as Envy. Isles was on a really long flanking angle, and they feel like xyno may have overstepped, but has the ward and Tribrush, spots Inspired. Dhokla now going to get the bad news as he face checked into YoungJae, and Envy's coming in with the ult. That's going to be flashed away from, as he had already used the ward hop. So Dhokla on weak side, spends the flash, but stays alive, and that's the important part.
I think given how rough the situation was with the enemy jungler behind you, getting away just burning a flash is pretty all right, all things considered. Does mean you're going to be a bit vulnerable for the next 5 minutes, but you'll take it. Do have Dragon coming up in a minute 20, so I expect the team to start setting up for that soon.
We'll see who's going to be able to get first move. It is Isles face checking. The bubble will not land, so we can just use the grand exit to get away to safety. Pops the Ghost as well from his spellbook. Still sitting on TP, so you would think he would want to cycle through that before this dragon does spawn. And Berserker now has that Muramana fully charged up, so that is ready to go. Saint, you think, probably has his gold for Azonias if he wants to upgrade it before this fight. And it is going to be Envy finding Isles with a nice little chunk of damage. Now maybe the TP pays some dividends if he needs to go back to base.
The thing is, even if Saint doesn't complete the Zonias, you get so much value out of the Seekers. I hope Bull has the Infinity Edge now, because if he doesn't, you're going to feel really bad. Actually sells the Doran's Blade to complete the IE there, so they are very set on getting the power now for this team fight. Going to be moving down. We do have some item completions across the board, right? Shino's got his second, YoungJae's got his second. They really want to make their stand at this dragon and ideally get that early and get the trap set up. But we actually see Bull moving in bot lane and getting prio there. I think you need your Caitlyn grouped with your team setting up the traps, because now LYON are pushing in, they're taking control.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Bull just kind of greeting for the wave, and it's not like you're going to base again before this fight. You already based, you sold the D-Blade, you got the Infinity Edge. This is as strong as you're going to get, so now you got to play for the fight. Xyno does have that item advantage over Dhokla, so Dhokla just has to play it very far back. Both top laners with their TP, but Xyno about to have his flash and does have it now. He is TPing in already, and he's going to be coming in behind them. Will be spotted on that ward, though. The trap line coming out. Isles trying to get around the side, but he's spotted as well. Dragon getting incredibly low, but no way in for Loud. They don't have any engage, so can't find the angle. Envy is behind them, but doesn't want to go in on a solo mission. Would just get knocked down, and now LYON can just back it up unless they feel like they found a fight here. Bull maybe going to face check in onto Isles, and Isles flashes in. The charm is there. Is the follow-up there as well? Inspired goes forward. The Grim Deliverance comes through. The Fear is going to land on Inspired. Inspired flashes out, staying alive for now. The knock up on Xyno. Xyno can't finish the job. He's got to flash out. Envy is low, and Saint is going crazy. Saint and Berserker are untouched. RedBert will get away, but LYON take full control in game number 5.
RedBert in trouble here as well.
RedBert, you can say that again. He's got nowhere to go. Saint wraps around behind him. You said he needed to step up in this moment, and he is doing just that.
Crushing blow for Loud, and LYON gonna move straight onto the Baron. The respawn time is a short, but I just don't think it's enough to get back there in time.
I don't think so either. This is not a Hextech Rift. They can't get out there. Isles is gonna make sure no one is coming to contest this. YoungJae has respawn now, and they do have an idea that this is going to be happening. I think he's going to run straight over, but it's down to 5K. He's so far away. He's got no shot of getting there in time. Down to 2K, going to be secured here. Inspired does claim it. They get the Baron, they get out. Objective bounties have spawned. It's a 7,000 gold lead off the back of this sequence.
Isles finds this great flank angle, and a lot of the CC return focus goes on him, but he just dips out again. Inspired gets in, and with the ult, soaks so much. And Loud quickly realized they've spent so many resources onto the front line. You know, Berserker untouched, Saint untouched. They can just keep pushing forward to the point that they're tower diving this Nami in this situation, turning it into chum.
Yep, going to be able to grab an easy kill on the Nami. And that was honestly the goal difference in action for Inspired. He was barely surviving. The difference between him and YoungJae was that YoungJae's on brown boots, and he had tabbies plus 2 cloth armors on top.
Yep.
That was the difference. He is surviving because of that extra armor, and now he is going to be close to the GA. Now a full death cap for Saint. He didn't even have to pop the Seekers, so go straight in towards that death cap. Third item done for Berserker. All of the luxury items coming through. Shino's lead now means essentially nothing.
I think, honestly, Loud needed to get the trap set up, and they've struggled to do that. Struggled to get in early and get the Caitlyn in an ideal position. And now, 2,100 gold lead for Berserker over the Caitlyn. I mean, mid, jungle, and AD carry, all just massively ahead of their counterparts. And Shino's lead just not nearly as big as it was earlier in this game.
It's so tough because, you know, Bull, obviously, you know, he is a target if Isles finds that flank, but even if he doesn't, at this point with the carry so strong, all Isles has to do is press the quickness and CC the melee champs when they go in on your carries, right? As long as they are not stacked and getting one shot, Berserker and Saint can cover for each other, and trying to fight through a Xin Zhao that is this strong is near impossible. And they just don't have the players in the spots to actually answer, so they're pushing through bot, but they give up the top tier 2, the mid tier 2, just to push in a wave on bot.
Yeah. Losing so much more gold at this point.
Gonna look public execution in onto Dhokla. The fear comes out, and he looks like he's gonna be a bit of a freebie. Dhokla overstays as the rest of the team is resetting. That is a pretty silly death from him.
Yeah, not the first time this series. We saw even in that Gnar game where he was doing pretty great little overstays when the rest of the team resets. Kind of does put an end on the Baron push from Lion here. It's a minute 20 until that next dragon. It is Ocean Soul. Again, not the most impactful, but I feel like when you're already behind and you're struggling to kill off those targets, just that extra bit of health that comes in is going to be problematic for the side of Loud. I need to see them try and find some good setup, but the problem is they were struggling to set up for the Caitlyn when they were more even in gold. They're behind now. How do you push in? How do you get control? How do you contest this? Or maybe they just give it up and try and fight at a different time. 6k gold deficit.
Yeah.
It may just be the better play to just leave it for now.
Yeah, I mean, if you try to contest and you get ace, the game's probably over. If you give it, then you're praying for an Elder flip, right? But is it going to get easier to contest later? I don't really think so. And then you're trying to contest it into a Soul. And, well, we've talked about this Soul not being that powerful. When Inspired is this fed, I do think it's actually really valuable for the Zhao. You know, Crescent Guard gets so much value in a fight like this. Bull can't really do anything about him. And if he can just battle against these melee champs in the front line and win those 1v1s, which he can already, let alone with Soul, I think it makes it really tough.
I think just getting onto a key target, if it's Saint, if it's Berserker, connecting that CC is going to be key. But you see, Lion are kind of flanking around here.
Yeah, they are 4 members strong. Dhokla is behind Loud. They could look for Bull here. If Bull walks up towards that top side, he could get a rude surprise from Dhokla. They have controlled that mid wave, but the dragon is spawned. xyno looking for a flank angle, and now Dhokla will reveal. They're going to try to push him in. In comes the big engage. The Grim Deliverance is used to retreat, but Bull is in so much trouble. Pops the ghost, pops the flash. Berserker flashes forward, but he can't finish him. But it doesn't matter because Loud are crumbling. Lion are crushing the fight here once again. It's 2 members down. It's xyno on the run, and it is Soul on the table here as Inspired has his eyes on the objective. The solo laners are more than enough to knock down xyno. The Brazilian phenom will fall, and Lion, you have to feel like might have just sealed the deal.
They pounce on their opponents, find great target selection, and just cut them down so quickly. Ocean Drake taken. It's the MasterCard priceless moment of the game with the Soul secured. And Loud, it feels like it's just going from bad to worse.
It absolutely has. Saint has that full zone. He has 3 items completed. Berserker did spend the flash. That's maybe something working in your favor. The GA was also popped there from Inspired. YoungJae, he doesn't win this. You know, even if he face checks you at this point, you just don't have the damage, and he's about to find that out as he is on the run. Saint likely not going to chase too far, but here is the fight one more time that may have just decided the game.
So, Isles actually splits onto Envy and RedBert here, and then moves over to Dhokla afterwards. We see Berserker flashes in to try and take out Bull. Doesn't quite get the kill. Isles, a little bit deep, a little bit too far. I love the energy, a little bit too much, but the rest of the team is there to clean up.
Might not have been the best play, but it was the confident one.
It was the confident one. The rest of the team got the dragon. They took out xyno, and now, unfortunately for the CBLOL representatives, the game is in a rough spot.
Yeah, and you can see it, right? You know, that is the nature of competition. For there to be a winner, there does have to be a loser, but never nice to see the pain on the players' faces like that. As YoungJae going to get found out here. He is going to pop the Grim Deliverance in retreat. He'll be able to stay safe, but Loud has to know it. It is a snowball's chance right now for them to come back in this game. You know, your best shot really, I think, is just delaying. Hopefully, you know, you can live through the Baron and maybe find an Elder angle, as the public execution won't find Berserker who can Valk out to safety.
I mean, I like the attempt, right? If that connects, maybe you just get the all-in Berserker. Yeah. I think you have to go for things like that. That is your engage. One of your best tools is the Ambessa. Inspired started up the Baron.
He's just looking to solo it at this point. They're trying to go aggressive on a Berserker, but he's just healing back up with that Ocean Soul. He had no flash, so they might have been able to kill him, but now xyno is incredibly low, has no TP available.
YoungJae has no ult or flash. It's so hard for him to approach. I think Baron is just gone. Honestly, Lion could stall this out and make it sync a little bit better with the Elder. I mean, it's a long way away from the Elder, so maybe they can't stall out for long enough.
Yeah, that's the question, is can you survive until the Elder? I do agree that when you've already given Soul, Elder is your best chance of the game, right? Elder is kind of that great equalizer where if you can steal it, if you can manage to make everything happen in your favor and not just die in the attempt at a steal, then hey, it kind of erases the gold lead, right? Because all of a sudden everyone has like 25% less HP because there's the burn plus the execute. But it's a lot of ifs, I think, and they haven't been able to find really any fights.
Yeah, if LYON are playing this correctly, the Elder never even gets below half HP. Unless LYON are like trapped in their base or something. So they have the Baron now to push in. They have control of the game. And Saint, 0 deaths so far this game. So I said I really wanted to see him step up.
Had to say it, buddy.
Yeah, and he's had a great game so far. He's been pretty flawless. And a big redemption considering some of the rougher games this series. It's been a struggle so far for the LCS representative, but right now they are looking down a very good game state that might just get them this series win.
Yep, it's looking like it likely will. All of LYON down here on that bottom side as Saint and Berserker, they hurt at this point, and that rocket is going to show them just how much damage he can do. You can see that as soon as they saw all 5 from LYON down here and the trap line, they're like, all right, we need to play multiple lanes, right? So they send Saint up towards top, they send Dhokla mid, and they're going to be looking to push in all of these waves. Look at the damage difference between the mid laners in this game. Envy has not really been able to find any purchase on the Vex at all, and it has been Saint in control from pretty early on.
Yeah, he's just been doing so much work, and he's been playing pretty aggressively in some of these fights, flashing forward to secure kills, but just still never really being threatened up to this point in this game.
Yep, and now, as the other lanes are being responded to, LYON know they cannot hold bot lane any longer. They send 2 members mid to answer Dhokla. They have 1 top, so it is a 2v3 down here for RedBert and Bull. They're just trying to thin the wave as much as they possibly can. There's only 1 minute remaining on this Baron power play here. But that is enough to potentially threaten this bot side inhib. YoungJae has moved down there, but I don't know that xyno can hold the wave on the top side by himself. He's going to try to do it. He goes in, but the Arcane Storm will push him back. Won't be able to kill him, but is going to mean he has to retreat.
Yeah, it does force the ult at least, but you know, it's not that long of a cooldown, and you're going to have to back off and heal. The pressure is just mounting. Turret going down top. Bot seems soon to follow.
Saint going to be able to knock down that inhibitor. You have to think xyno coming out with the home guard, so he will have to play a little respectful, and Dhokla has been chunked pretty low. Will have the Zoni's completion on base as Berserker continues pushing in through bot, hits level 18 right now, a 3-level advantage over Bull, a nearly 3,000 gold lead as well. Saint goes back to base, double TP's come out with the Zonias as well as the completed Void Staff there for Saint.
Oh, Engage coming in.
Envy, this could be it. Envy gets burst down. They're going to try to send it onto Isles, but Isles has the team behind him. xyno has come in on the teleport, but he's chunked down already by Saint. Berserker Valks in. Dhokla takes down Bull. The Grim Deliverance will get one back, but Inspired is standing and fighting. Saint and Berserker are untouched, and you know what that means. LYON can do nothing. The revive is there, but Berserker will camp the corpse and wait for another respawn here. Gets a kill. Saint knocks him down on the top side. It is RedBert alone against 4 members of LYON. LYON made him work for it. They pushed them to the brink, but LYON did not break. They win their first series here at First Stand, and they will advance to the upper bracket.
Getting some revenge for the America's Cup. This time LCS comes out above this CB LOL. It was a close one. It was hard fought by both sides, but LYON in the end come out ahead.